Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Rowe. We're looking in Geometry Part A. This is Lesson 6, and we're going to look at how to construct a line perpendicular through a given line through a given point. So again, we're going to look at 3 different tools, and we're going to show you how to use each tool. And then you watch the part of the video that has the tool closest to the one you have. So we're going to start off with our standard compass. And for the standard compass, I also need a straight edge. So there is my straight edge. So you'll need those for this particular construction. So what we want to do here is we want to make a line through this line that goes through this point, but it has to be perpendicular. So perpendicular means that it has to intersect at a right angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our compass so that it's definitely wider than the line. So definitely see how it comes down below the line. So I want it to definitely be wider. So I'm going to put my anchor on point P. And what I want to do is I want to make a arc on each side of point P. And make sure you try not to move your compass like I did. It makes it a lot more accurate when you do that. So you see I've got an arc on each side of point P right here and right here. Now those points represent the radius of a circle, and that's how we're going to use this to draw our perpendicular line. So now, without changing the compass, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my anchor on one of these new intersections, and I'm going to draw an arc below the line. And then I'm going to switch to the other point and do the same thing. Put my anchor on the point of intersection and draw an arc that intersects that previous arc. So there are the construction marks. So here is our new point, and we're going to use that point to help us draw our line. So depending on how accurate I was with my little tick marks, we should end up with a line perpendicular to our given line. So now we're going to check it using a protractor. So here is my protractor, and we're just going to check to make sure that we've got a perpendicular line. And if you look at that, that is a pretty good perpendicular line. It goes right through the 90 degrees. So that's how you construct a line perpendicular to a given line through a given point using the regular compass. So let's look at our safety compasses. So here is our first safety compass. Remember, this is the one I prefer. If you're going to use a safety compass, use this one. You have 2 sets of marks you can use, the inside or the outside. Looks like I'm going to be able to use the outside when I prefer using the outside ones. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure, again, that your anchor, which is the crosshair, if you look in that circle, I can focus it. There's a little crosshair right in there that represents where your point should go. And so we're going to make sure that anchor goes on point P right there, just like that. We want to make sure that the compass is open up enough so that we can get arcs on either side. So it is. And so I'm going to mark an arc without moving my compass. And I'm going to try to get my hand out of the way here. You can see me mark the other side. And there's my other mark. So there's my 2 tick marks that I need to make my perpendicular line. And now again, without changing the compass, I'm going to put an intersection on the first, or I'm going to put my crosshair on the first intersection and draw an arc below the line. Go to the other intersection and do the same thing. Make sure that those arcs intersect like that. And so now I've got a point of intersection right here. And so all I've got to do now is to draw this line. And again, depending on how well I was able to get my marks drawn, will determine how well this construction turned out. So let's take a look. We're just going to check to make sure we have a perpendicular line. And look at that. That's pretty good. So we got it marked right there. So that's a pretty good right angle based on my protractor. And so that's how you do it with the first safety compass. Same procedures. And so let's take a look at the last one. And actually I'm going to draw it again because I don't want it to run into the other one. I'm going to use the back of this paper. And you see I'm really not measuring anything. I'm just putting things down so that we have a construction to use. And here is our last safety compass. Remember, on this safety compass, you got to put your point that you're marking from through this hole, and then you're going to pick the hole here that you're going to mark around the circle. So let's take a look. There is point P. It goes right inside the circle just like that. And then we want to make sure that we mark above and below. So it looks like I can use several marks here, but I'm going to use this mark right here. So I like to be able to use one that I can remember. Sometimes I forget which hole I'm marking. So I know none of you ever do that, so you just try to remember it the best way you can. But there we go, there's our marks. And so now same thing. I'm going to make a mark from each intersection. So there's the first intersection right there. I'm going to use the same hole that I used before. And then do the same thing from the other. Just gotta make sure I get my little tick mark in there. There we go. And so there's the intersection. So if I draw this through this point, those should intersect at a right angle. So let's take a look. And we're worried about the perpendicular more than extending the line below it. So that's the important part, is the perpendicular line. So look at that. Once again, we have a perfectly perpendicular line through a given point. So that is the method using each one of the compasses. I hope this helps you. Remember, when you're doing your construction, submitting your work, you're going to take a picture of your construction, making sure I see all the tick marks, and if you'll just put a protractor right there on it so I can see that it's a 90-degree angle, that would make life a lot easier when grading. So let me know in a teacher message if you still need help with this, or set up an appointment for a help session.